Since the groundbreaking 1937 film Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Disney Studios has put out thousands of animated features, live-action productions, and modern films. Within those films, Disney has produced 14 movies telling the stories of princesses from different backgrounds that all have the same ending. Snow White was given a prince and a happily ever after, where princess and prince end up together with a seamless, perfect ending. The problem with the implementation of the happily ever after narrative is that viewers are provided no information on how the relationship dynamic changes and adapts after the couple makes the commitment to be together. No relationship thrives without high amounts of work and effort put into keeping the relationship alive. Since none of the movies show how much work a relationship requires, children are entering relationships later on in life for the first time with a set of false expectations. The happily ever after idea delays the development of awareness of unhealthy relationships. Instead of understanding that conflict is okay and is inevitable, young adults immediately assume that something is wrong with them or their relationship based on the movies they watched in their youth. It is a rite of passage for a young adult to have their heart broken, but the reason for having their heart broken does not have to be because of the lack of education surrounding unhealthy relationships as a child. Humans are biologically hardwired to become frustrated with situations that do not live up to their expectations. According to Eric Simpson's Huffington Post article, as humans, we often create expectations from other people that are unrealistic and that they are not in reality obligated to fill, then become angry when they do not meet them. Disney instills the idea in young adults' heads that a romantic partner has an obligation to make the relationship as happy and perfect as the movies make it out to be. The obligation is hardly filled in relationships, as there is too much focus on what the relationship lacks rather than what the relationship has. These movies perpetuate a romantic storyline in which compatibility and lasting romance is something effortless, built on chance, and sustained on good looks and fun dates. Over time, romantic relationships progress into more intense and emotionally charged bonds between two committed parties, which is relaxed in the films in question. According to the Association for Natural Psychology, the emotions and behaviors children see in television or in movies can be internalized and contribute to inappropriate behavior in future romantic relationships. If a child does not see their favorite character trying to make a relationship work or compromising with a partner, they will not have the tools to handle situations similar to those as a young adult. The preconceived idea that a relationship is always happy and bright can cause young individuals to develop self-destructive behaviors and emotionally inappropriate response if they ever encounter a relationship that does not meet their expectations of a Disney storyline. In the early stages of development, it is important for children to be exposed to movies that will help them build emotional intelligence and awareness. Movies like Cinderella and The Little Mermaid don't provide these emotional and psychological tools, but instead equip children, specifically girls, with unhealthy views of romantic relationships. If the Disney princess movies could shift to showing real issues in relationships, they could potentially educate young girls and boys on what healthy relationships actually look like and how to spot the warning signs of abusive relationships. Most staples in the Disney princess movie repertoire were produced between the 1930s and 1990s, making the generation that the movies were intended for the generation prior to Generation Z. At the time when most of these films were created and released, marriage was the social construct that our society was centered around. Getting married during your 20s was a societal norm during that time. So why wouldn't they show films to their children that enforce their present-day social values? While it was popular for men and women to get married during their 20s, today it is more common for adults to get married during their early to mid-30s. According to a study done by the Pew Research Center, only 20% of adults ages 18 to 24 are married today compared to 59% back in 1960. And the average age of marriage has risen by about 6 years in both genders. As time shifts, so do the societal values. So we cannot expect children to grow up expecting their lives to be like the movies we show them, if those movies are outdated and morally incorrect. Disney films are becoming more progressive to their storylines, but at times seem to drop the ball. Moana, a Disney princess movie, is not wrapped around a romantic relationship between a girl and boy. It tells the story of a young girl who loves her island and family so much that she decides to save it. But even the Disney movie that people seem to praise for their lack of focus on romantic relationships are extremely lacking in promoting self-self relationships. Self-self relationships involve one's love for their own mind, body, and soul, a component that almost every Disney movie is lacking. In order for a healthy romantic relationship to evolve, one must love themselves before they try to love another. According to Dr. Juliana Bruni's, people who are lacking in self-acceptance before they enter relationships are more likely to enter more negative relationships in the first place, selecting and staying with partners who don't treat them well. Societal focus should be implementing themes of self-acceptance and respect of individuality instead of defining ourselves based upon relationship status. This must start with children as the most vulnerable age group and be focused on media as the main influence on today's youth. If companies such as Disney change the themes in today's movies to promote self-love, they can help children grow up without the preconceived ideas regarding romantic relationships. Love isn't the static phenomenon that Disney gets to define. There are many ups and downs that occur in a relationship, and it is a disservice to our society that Disney is not educating children at a young age on healthy romantic love that is realistic. According to the relational counseling services, all couples have differences, and fighting is not a sign that you are with the wrong person. If all couples have differences, there is bound to be an argument from time to time, and that should be reflected in the Disney princess movies plot, so to provide children with a foundation to build healthy relationships.